Shall we carpe diem, my rogue army? My name is Erin Rogoff, and I would like to welcome you all back to my booktube channel, where today I am going to be reviewing The Yellow Wallpaper by Charlotte Perkins Gilman. It is a short story, feminist fiction sort of novel. It's a standalone, and I read it in one sitting, so I'm betting you can too. And there are other books by Charlotte Perkins Gilman that I would consider reading, such as In This Our World, Human Work, and Moving the Mountain. And if you know me, you know I love mountains, so that's the reason alone. Like, I read Grey Mountain just because mountain was mentioned in the title. Anyway, The Yellow Wallpaper was actually published in 1892, but the funny thing is that my copy of the book, which is on my Kindle, there's the yellow wallpaper in big bold letters, and then there's a picture of yellow wallpaper with intricate designs. And one funny thing is, it looks like somebody's doing a push-up right in front of you, and you're watching them. And then when I showed my mom my copy of the book, she's like, "Hey, I see that too!" It was actually a really funny moment, but it was more like a you had to be there type of moment, so it can be pretty either very funny or very non-funny. Anyway, with the history of The Yellow Wallpaper, it's an early work of American feminist literature that focuses on attitudes about mental health in the 1800s. And thinking about how quickly that I would be put into an asylum in the 19th century, I would guess about maybe 2 seconds. So apparently, if you were reading too much, writing too much, showing signs of ADHD, which they didn't understand back then, or if you just had emotional difficulties, that would be grounds for putting you in an asylum. So pretty much 4 out of 4, I'd be put into an asylum just because. Anyway, the novel highlights rest cures, which are where women would go to a secluded place with no mental stimulation, and no one would be allowed to read or write, so that would be the end of my world. And I would pretty much die in a matter of seconds with the amount of reading and writing I do, and that's not even funny, because, like, I don't even know how to explain it, but it's like reading is my solace and writing is my outlet and my life. Like, my manuscripts that I'm working on publishing is my literary child. If I couldn't write, I would probably have, like, hand spasms just because I wouldn't be holding a pencil. Anyway, it was also thought back then that you could heal through no mental stimulation, and many women actually went off their rocker, or however it's said, because their minds would begin to play tricks on them. Thus, The Yellow Wallpaper was the narrator's only stimulation, even if you could call it that. So anyway, it was Charlotte Perkins Gilman who actually paved the way for authors like Alice Walker, who wrote The Color Purple, and Sylvia Plath, author of The Bell Jar. My thoughts on The Yellow Wallpaper? My grandma always wants to expand my literary horizons and interests, so I read this book in part because it was something that she wanted me to read, and I actually didn't necessarily like it, just because I thought about how I would deal in that sort of situation, and not being able to read or write, I would pretty much die without it. I can't even go a day without writing. I'm serious. Like, if I'm in college and I'm writing notes, that counts. If I'm at home writing in my journal, that counts. If I'm writing a short story in a notebook, that counts. Anyway, an update. My grandma was actually positively ecstatic when I told her that I read the book and was going to review it on my YouTube channel. And she's like, "Oh, are you going to give it a 5-star rating? That's going to be so cool." And I just thought to myself, no, not 5 stars. Anyway, this novella is short, but it's hard-hitting and actually real disturbing. And it really does conjure up ideas and memories of where I have been, having depression and ADHD, ADD, other problems, and where I am now. And as for ratings, Amazon rates the book a 4.2 out of 5 stars. Goodreads rates the book 4.1 out of 5 stars. 81% of Google users enjoyed this book, and I actually rated it 4 stars because even though I didn't like it, the sign of a good author is when they actually make you think. And I was just thinking throughout this entire novel, so I decided to give it 4 stars anyway, even though I didn't like it at all, and I probably won't read it again. And as for reviews, Jaylene Anonymous gives the book 5 stars. This is an amazing piece of writing and worth reading for the experience of better understanding of mental illness and how it can subtly infect all areas of a person's life. And then Jessica Anonymous rates the book 5 stars too. This has got to be one of the most impressive short stories ever written, up there with the very best. Written in the late 1800s, it is surprisingly modern for its form and content. Now, I do agree with that, although it still is disturbing enough to make me -1 star from that 5-star rating. So anyway, if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button to show some support, turn those notifications on, subscribe to my booktube channel to get more videos like this, and have a great day, everyone!